Hello, my name is Ocampo. I'm assistant professor at the Universidad de Chile. The purpose of this video is to present the CMOS revised procedure, or also known as the pack of cards. In this video, I will explain the purpose of the method, its origin, what is needed to implement it, how to, and some conclusions. This is a method for individually extracting the preferences of a set of criteria or variables. It was designed for its application in an outranking multi-criteria decision aiding methods to define the relative importance of a small set of criteria, importance that later is used as votes in an analysis. Is then an ordering of relative importance type of question. It was published originally in 1990 by Jan Simos and was revised and adjusted in 2002 by Joseph Figueira and Bernard Brown. Although this method was developed for extracting votes for multi-criteria analysis, has also been found useful to discover underlying and sometimes conflicting reasons for those preferences in research that includes participatory processes. Although this method was developed for multi-criteria decision-aiding methods, it has been used in other research contexts, for example in the international project called Practice, and was found very useful for prioritized criteria and understand the underlying reasons for that priorities and also identifying conflicting preferences. In the photograph, we can see that the method is being applied to an individual stakeholder in the context of a research project in Tucson, Arizona. The method has also been found useful for teaching to show students the complexities of social-ecological systems, but also to discuss the values and facts associated with some decisions. In the photograph, we can see that the method is being applied in a group context of a short course for evaluation and restoration with governmental agencies in Santiago de Chile. To apply this method, it is required a set of cards with the name, description, or representative image of the criteria. In the first photograph, we can see the cards only have names. But in the second photograph, it's possible to see the cards have images. This is an important adaptation in cases that their stakeholders cannot read or the indicators are not necessarily easy to understand. It's necessary to have a set of blank cards of any color and at least 5 more times as the number of criteria. A log document to immediately write down the final cards arrangement, a photographic camera to take a photo of the final cards arrangement, and a notebook to write down the conversations and explanations for the arrangement. Once everything is set, the cards are given to the stakeholder or the person who's going to play with the cards, and the meaning of each card has to be explained. This means that the criteria has to be perfectly described. Once the criteria is understood, you need to ask the participants or the stakeholder to arrange them in an order of importance from left to right, from least to most important. This can take several minutes. The stakeholders can move and rearrange the cards several times until they are finally happy with their arrangement. And once the final arrangement is set, you confirm that the one on the left is the least important and the one on the right is the most important. Now that the cards have been finally arranged, it's time to use the blank cards. The blank cards are used to express differences between groups of cards, such as on a staircase. In this example, we have 5 groups of cards. In each group, cards have the same importance. So you ask the participants to use the cards to represent separation between the importance of each group. And now it comes the time to implement the most complicated question, which is to ask the value for that differences, meaning how much important is the most important group, in this case the fifth group, compared with the first group, meaning the number 1, or in this case beauty of landscape. This is called the zeta ratio. It's used to normalize the weights at the end of the activity. So once you have finalized the procedure and you proceed with the calculations, what you will obtain with the method is a normalized value for each criterion based on the zeta ratio. And this value or this voting power can be used in a multi-criteria analysis of a ranking type of approach. At the same time, if you were paying attention, you will have written the reasons for the importance of each one of the criteria, and you will be able to have some remarks and probably conflicting values that represent different points of view between stakeholders, but also in each one of the participants. And it's also to have the possibility to identify opposite views, and if this is implemented in a group setting, it can also possible to discuss these opposite views. So good practice tips to implement this method is to find different and simple ways of describing each criterion without influencing the participant evaluation. For example, how to explain beauty of landscape without convincing them that it is important. Find ways to explain the meaning of the zeta ratio. Give an example of what this difference may be. It's sometimes useful. For example, have about it's double of importance, it's 10 times of importance. Avoid to use disproportionate quantities. Identify each criterion with a code to capture the result faster than having to write down the complete name. This is why it's also useful to have a photo of the final arrangement, and have your calculation in a spreadsheet in advance. In the figure you can see an example of how this spreadsheet can look like, how each criterion is organized in a subset or rank, and how that is transformed into a normalized weight. And the most important part, write down all the discussions, individual and collective ones. To conclude, the revised CMOS procedure, or the pack of cards, is a very practical and visual method. It can be used for research, but also for teaching. As it doesn't use scores, it's useful in contexts not familiar with numbers. It does require some adaptation, for example, the use of images or figures to explain criterion. The zeta ratio is sometimes difficult to explain. As it was developed for representing importance as votes, it cannot be used in other type of multi-criteria analysis. And depending on the application, if you're not interested in the relative importance, it can also be used to understand values, and it can give you a lot of interesting information. If you want to learn more about the revised CMOS procedure, you can search information, publications related with the practice project, and also you can look for the original method and calculations in the article by Figueira and Ra. Thank you.